Hello everybody! I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and today I want to talk about Final Fantasy XIV. We are in Dawntrail, it is out among us! And I am still extremely early in the MSQ. I haven't even broke out of a level 90 quest yet. But there's an aspect of Final Fantasy XIV's writing that I think we so desperately need to talk about and address. Because I think it's the formula that they utilize on such a consistent basis nowadays that makes their story so good. And that is the world building. There will only be spoilers for the level 90 quest specifically. And I'll show a few scenes in the background of this video just to get the point across. But Dawntrail does that thing that they did in Shadowbringers, where in that first level bracket, they give you the choice to go to one of two zones to be acclimated and introduced to the world there, build up a few characters, etc, etc. But it's in this simplistic idea that they really truly thrive. We get an overarching objective as to why we are going to these locations. Okopacha or Kawamara-Uta, whatever the hell the name of that zone is. We're going there for the Rite of Ascension for Wuklamot. And we have to get some doodads there and perform some challenge. Okay, very rudimentary stuff, okay, I understand. However, after having seen the launch trailers and stuff like that and the promotion for Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail, we know that this story is going to take a turn at some point and become extremely serious and also action-packed. So this early on, when we are being exposed to a lot of world building and an albeit way slower paced story, in most other games and most other stories, that would be seen as kind of filler or something that's really slow and would be viewed as a negative. I don't view it as a negative in Final Fantasy XIV because their writing is multifaceted and multi-purposed. What do I mean by this? They are never just doing one singular thing with the story in Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail so far. They're asking questions, they're building up the world, developing characters, expanding backstory. They're doing all of this in the name of world building. We are starting an entire new story arc with Dawntrail.
But actually 6.1 and 6.55.
Yeah. The Hydaelyn Zodiac arc is over. We are moving on to greener pastures, or at least newer pastures. And one of the biggest points of comparison that has been drawn by members of the community before Dawntrail is that Dawntrail is going to act in this role of, say, a Realm Reborn, which will be slower paced but kind of lay the groundwork for the story into the future. Well, to me, it honestly feels more like Shadowbringers in the way that Shadowbringers did things. What do I mean by that? Back in Shadowbringers, they were kind of in a similar situation, where we are being introduced to a whole new world that had been teased a little bit before, with the first. So what did they do? They took their time with it. Had us go from zone to zone, learning about Sin Eaters, building up the cast of characters, learning about the dynamic to which First World operate. Same with Dawntrail. We are going to these zones, learning about the peoples there, all the while furthering the overarching narrative of Wuklamot's various trials that she must overcome, learning more about her competitors. In fact, this became so apparent to me, just how many different things they were doing in these introductory experiences. I spent like 30 minutes on stream just breaking it down and writing it down. Just in Okopacha, just in that level 90 version of Okopacha, which is only a small part of the zone that we explored and partook in, they did all of this that I'm about to say. Talked more about Kryle's earring, and establish a connection beforehand back in the city to the City of Gold, but also in Okopacha that it's a fashion accessory from about 20 years ago. We got way more development for Wuklamot as a character, but also for Galul Jaja. We learned more about him as a character before he became ruler. We got his backstory as a result, and just why people revere him so much. We got development on the Pelu Pelu. We also learned about their history. We were introduced to numerous named Pelu Pelu characters as well. We got a shocking amount of alpaca lore, which, let's be fair here, is the most vital thing of all time because alpacas in this game are really cute. We learned more about the race of giant people, the Yakhoi, whose names are just really fun to say, by the way. Say Yakhoi 3 times and try not to smile, I dare you. Yakhoi. See, I can't even do it. We got backstory, and we learned about the motivations for Aaronville as a character. We were teased about his mentor, heard even more about the City of Gold and asking way more questions about it, and we also learned about his reasons for being a gleaner. The first promise as a character was explored, and the potential ramifications for if we allow him to ascend the throne, but we also learned more about Tawana, just how much he has helped and how much he could help these various peoples like the Pelu Pelu with his technological advancements by bringing them over from Eorzea, and just how much Tuli Yolol has changed as a direct result. And we got backstory for Okopacha as a zone overall. They did all of this in just that one small section of the level 90 quest meant for Okopacha. We haven't even fully deep dived that zone yet. We're definitely going back there, cause like 2/3 of the zone we just haven't been to yet. And I'm still making my way through the Kozama Uka, I think that's how you say it, the jungle zone, you know, with the bird people, and then doing the exact same formula there. And this is the thing. Final Fantasy XIV is a long-form game. It's a really long RPG series. And it's also an MMORPG. And at the end of the day, one of the most important elements of an MMO is the immersion in the world. Whether you are carefully acknowledging and understanding and breaking down the story, or you just care about the world itself, liking being in the world of an MMORPG is so important because these are games that ask for so much time commitment from the player. You will likely be playing this game, if you're in Dawntrail right now, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. It's important to care about the world, continued development. We're going to quite literally a place called the New World, and everything looks and feels different there, alongside the graphical overhaul with Dawntrail. Keeping people rooted in the world, making them care and want to see this world developed and fleshed out, is important. And it's methodologies in writing like this that I think best exemplify why Final Fantasy XIV's story is so revered and why I love it so much. Because they know when they need to take their time and introduce this world. They need to do the grunt work, flesh all these things out, and make it feel more than just a location in a game. It needs to feel like a part, a mechanism in a greater whole. It needs to feel like part of the world. It fleshes out the past of the story, it fleshes out what's going on currently and the motivations of various characters, but also it asks and proposes where this could all go depending upon what outcome we achieve. They did this same thing back in Shadowbringers, and look at how revered Shadowbringers and the world of the first is nowadays. Because this is a working formula. You don't just go to a location and say, hey, okay, we need you to really care about this place, so we're gonna focus on just this location overall. They're doing many things, developing characters, showcasing dynamics between various characters and the main characters, fleshing out the backstory, having continued and persistent character development, being able to interlace comedy and acts of levity alongside everything else going on. This stuff is so important, because when we get the bigger overarching threats we are bound to get later in Dawntrail, just going off the launch trailer, then we're in a more primed position for those things to really pay off, because they took the time to make us care about this world, which creates interesting and engaging stakes. You don't always need to just raise the threat level, just threaten something we actually care about. And the level 90 story is basically them making us care about this corner of the world. Well, more like half of the world, but you know what I mean, because they took the time to develop the world in an interesting way, so nothing fully feels like filler. May feel slow for a period of time, but they're all leading to something. And it's very clear that they're leading to various things, that they're teasing various things that could be resolved in the short term or even the long term. And it's never just one or two things. It's a whole bunch. And in a story that is as long as Final Fantasy XIV, you can have moments like this that are slower and do all of these teases and character development moments and all of this world building. You can do it because you have the time to do it, and you have the time to do it in an interesting way. I don't know how the payoff will be down the line. Like I said, I'm still in the level 90 quests, but it's so clear, to me at least, what they are doing and how they're going about to try and make us care about the new world. They've done this formula before, and it's such a winning, working formula, and I'm glad they're sticking with it, because don't fix what isn't broke. If they had focused on any one singular element for too long, then you run into the risk of going, hey, this feels way too slow for what we're getting out of it. it. But with their methodology of storytelling and world building, it's going bam, 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 bam. So when you're walking away from even one of these level 90 branching choice zone parts, you're like, oh, I have so much development and context for this region of the world now, I care about it. Because they also tied back into the characters we care about already and have all this development for, like Cryo, or just characters we've heard about or introduced to before, like Erenville. When you look at it on the whole, I admit this can seem kind of, well, basic. But I also tend to find that the best ways to tell a story oftentimes are the simple ways. How do you avoid a section feeling too slow, too lethargic, and just uninteresting? Have a bunch of things happening. Even if the section on the whole is not going to elicit the emotional response of, say, the ending of Shadowbringers or 5.3 or Endwalker, taking time not just to smell the roses but the entire flower garden can make you care way more about the entire location you're in than just a singular flower getting a lot of that development. Because it keeps the story, even in these slower moments, constantly rolling forward. You never know what exactly to expect or what could be brought up on a moment-to-moment basis. And now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta go back to the MSQ because I need to find out what happens. I've been absolutely loving Dawntrail so far. Let me know how you've been enjoying it. What job have you been playing through the MSQ with? I've been playing with Viper, yeah? Because it looks really cool. Let's be fair here. So with that, thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again!